In the heart of Nottingham, a bustling medieval town nestled by the tranquil River Trent, the oppressive Sheriff of Nottingham orchestrated a grand archery contest. His tyrannical rule and insatiable greed had cast a shadow over the town, burdening the hardworking townspeople with heavy taxes, leaving them impoverished and desperate. The sheriff's name, notorious throughout the land, was uttered with a mix of fear and resentment. He imposed crippling levies, extorted wealth from merchants and landowners alike, and ruled with an iron fist. Word of the archery contest, a display of the sheriff's ostentatious wealth and authority, spread like wildfire, reaching the farthest corners of the kingdom. The coveted prize, a magnificent golden arrow, was rumored to be worth a king's ransom. It wasn't merely a contest of skill. It was a brazen spectacle intended to showcase the sheriff's dominance over Nottingham. Among the contestants, drawn from all walks of life and regions near and far, one figure remained shrouded in mystery: Robin Hood. Known only as a skilled archer, his true identity hidden beneath a humble green cloak and concealed by a shadowy hood, Robin had come secretly to prove his prowess and strike a blow against the tyrannical sheriff. As the contest commenced, the archers took their positions, each aware of the remarkable feat required to hit the bullseye at such a great distance. The target stood as a testament to the sheriff's extravagance, its center marked by a golden bullseye that glistened in the sunlight. One by one, the archers released their arrows, but the bullseye remained untouched, as elusive as the sheriff's approval. Finally, it was Robin Hood's turn. With an air of confidence and humility, he stepped forward, his true identity known to none. He drew an arrow from his quiver, its feathers as green as the lush Sherwood Forest, and knocked it to his bowstring. His gaze, steady and unwavering, locked onto the distant target. The crowd fell silent in anticipation. In a moment that would be forever etched in the annals of Nottingham's history, Robin's arrow sailed through the air, a blur of speed and precision. It struck the bullseye with a resounding thud, splitting the arrow already lodged there in twain. A collective gasp of astonishment swept through the crowd, followed by a thunderous roar of applause. The sheriff, however, was consumed by a storm of fury and humiliation. He demanded to know the identity of the archer who had so boldly outshone him and ordered his guards to apprehend the unknown victor. Before the guards could react, Robin Hood seemed to dissolve into the crowd, a master of disguise and stealth. With a sly wink and a knowing smile, he vanished, leaving the sheriff fuming and the townspeople in awe. The people of Nottingham, inspired by the mysterious archer's bravery and unparalleled skill, whispered about him in hushed tones. In the taverns and marketplaces, by the hearths of their humble homes, they began to believe that there was hope for justice in the face of the oppressive sheriff's rule. Robin Hood's legend, as elusive as the man himself, grew with each passing day. His remarkable archery skills transformed him into a symbol of resistance against the Sheriff of Nottingham. The golden arrow, initially meant to symbolize the sheriff's power, had become a beacon of hope for the people, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there were those who would rise to champion justice and righteousness. Yet Robin Hood and his loyal band of merry men were far from content with fleeting fame. They continued their life as outlaws, defying the oppressive rule of the Sheriff of Nottingham. The sheriff, now consumed by a burning desire to capture the elusive outlaw, had himself become a symbol of ruthless oppression and of the people's determination to resist. One fateful day, the sheriff received word that Robin Hood was planning to attend a local fair in Nottingham, a fair that had become synonymous with merriment and celebration. Seizing the opportunity, the sheriff devised a cunning plan, weaving a web of deceit and treachery, and using the fair as bait. As the fair commenced, the townspeople gathered to enjoy the festivities, unaware that danger lurked among them. The sheriff's agents, disguised as ordinary folk, blended seamlessly into the crowd. The sheriff himself, draped in a concealing cloak, watched from the shadows. Robin Hood, accompanied by his steadfast friend Little John, arrived at the fair, their intentions noble but their senses sharp. The day seemed ordinary, filled with the joyous laughter of children, the lilting melodies of minstrels, and the enticing aromas of street vendors peddling their wares. Yet Robin, ever vigilant, sensed that danger loomed. As Robin and Little John moved through the fair, they spotted the sheriff's disguised guards drawing nearer. Realizing that they were walking into a trap, Robin chose to feign ignorance, their actions deliberate yet inconspicuous. They purchased goods from market stalls, watched the mesmerizing performances of jugglers and acrobats, and even engaged in friendly competitions of strength and skill. However, the sheriff's men grew impatient, their suspicion intensifying. They saw through Robin's guise and decided to confront the outlaw, their accusations ringing through the air like a thunderclap. A commotion erupted as the crowd began to murmur and gather around the unfolding drama. Robin Hood, ever quick-witted and resourceful, knew there was no escape but a daring one. With his trusty bow in hand, he sprang onto a nearby stage, his voice clear and commanding as he declared his true identity to the astonished onlookers. He had come, he proclaimed, not as a thief, but as a challenger. He challenged the Sheriff of Nottingham himself to a contest of archery, a contest that would determine the true master of the bow. The sheriff, his pride and authority at stake, could not resist such a challenge. With a nod of grim determination, he accepted, confident that his men, armed with his finest bows, would overpower Robin Hood in the end. The archery contest began, an electrifying tension hanging in the air. The sheriff and Robin Hood took their turns, their arrows slicing through the space between them with deadly precision. Robin's shot struck true, hitting the bullseye time and again, while the sheriff's men, renowned for their skill, found themselves humbled and frustrated. As the contest unfolded, Robin seized his chance for escape. In a single, fluid motion, he released an arrow that struck the sheriff's cloak, pinning it to a nearby tree. With a graceful leap, he dashed into the forest, the dense foliage swallowing him whole. The sheriff, now exposed and humiliated, stood there with his cloak pinned to the tree, a symbol of his own folly. The crowd, recognizing the sheriff's deceit and the indomitable spirit of Robin Hood, turned against the sheriff's men. The guards, outnumbered and facing the people's wrath, were forced to retreat, their pursuit of Robin thwarted once more. Robin Hood, once again victorious in his escape, reunited with his merry men deep in the heart of Sherwood Forest. The people of Nottingham, inspired by his daring and cunning, celebrated their hero and his continued defiance of the oppressive Sheriff of Nottingham. And so, the legend of Robin Hood grew stronger, and Sherwood Forest remained a sanctuary for justice and resistance against tyranny. The sheriff's obsession with capturing Robin Hood only fueled the outlaw's determination to protect the rights and freedoms of the people. Determined to bring an end to Robin Hood's reign of defiance, the sheriff decided to seek help from an infamous and ruthless knight named Sir Guy of Gisborne. Sir Guy, a dark and menacing figure, was known for his brutality and unswerving loyalty to the sheriff. He had built a fearsome reputation for capturing outlaws and traitors, and he relished the chance to serve his master. The sheriff summoned Sir Guy to Nottingham Castle, where they met in the dimly lit chamber where the sheriff conducted his darkest affairs. With the flicker of torchlight casting eerie shadows on the stone walls, the sheriff revealed his plan. He offered Sir Guy a handsome reward, promises of power, and the prospect of favor within the court if he could capture or kill Robin Hood. Sir Guy, enticed by the allure of riches and influence, accepted the task with grim enthusiasm. He would prove himself as the instrument of the sheriff's will, a merciless hunter who would stop at nothing to capture the elusive outlaw. Sir Guy began to devise a cunning scheme to ensnare Robin Hood. He knew that Robin often moved through Sherwood Forest and made appearances at local fairs and gatherings to provide aid to the poor and challenge the sheriff's authority. One day, as Robin Hood and his band of merry men arrived at a fair, they noticed a group of minstrels and performers. Unbeknownst to them, these were Sir Guy's spies, his eyes and ears amid the festivities. The minstrels played merry tunes and performed tricks, all the while gathering information about Robin's whereabouts. Robin, ever cautious and quick-witted, sensed that something was amiss. He decided to test the minstrels by holding an impromptu archery contest. He challenged them to hit a target at a great distance, knowing that his uncanny skill would reveal any deception. Sir Guy, seeing this as an opportunity to prove himself, accepted the challenge. However, he secretly arranged for the target to be rigged, ensuring that only he could hit the bullseye. Robin Hood, with his keen eye and exceptional skills, saw through the deception and exposed Sir Guy's cheating. Tensions escalated as the confrontation reached its climax, with Robin Hood and his merry men facing off against Sir Guy and his disguised men. Swords were drawn, and it seemed that a battle was inevitable. Just as the confrontation teetered on the brink of violence, the Sheriff of Nottingham arrived on the scene. He had been alerted to the situation and had rushed to the fair with his own guards. Seeing the sheriff, Sir Guy and his men reluctantly sheathed their weapons, recognizing that they were outnumbered. The sheriff, though thwarted once again in capturing Robin Hood, was determined to continue his pursuit. He ordered Sir Guy to redouble his efforts, his voice carrying the weight of both authority and frustration. The ruthless knight, driven by his own ambition and the promise of rewards, departed with a burning desire to claim the prize that awaited him. Robin Hood, for his part, continued to defend the oppressed, using his wits and archery skills to outmaneuver the sheriff and his hired enforcers. The forest of Sherwood remained a sanctuary for those in need, and the legend of Robin Hood and his band of merry men persisted, inspiring hope and resistance among the people of Nottingham. The sheriff's oppressive rule and exorbitant taxation remained central themes in the Robin Hood legend, serving as a powerful reminder that even the most ruthless tyrants could be brought to justice by those who stood up for the rights and freedoms of the common people. The relentless pursuit of Robin Hood became a relentless game of cat and mouse. The sheriff's schemes to capture the elusive outlaw grew increasingly elaborate. but Robin's cunning and resourcefulness always allowed him to slip through the sheriff's grasp. One day, Robin Hood and his merry men received word of a caravan transporting the king's taxes through the forest. The sheriff, having caught wind of their plan, saw this as the perfect opportunity to finally capture Robin Hood and put an end to his defiance. With a contingent of his best guards, the sheriff set a trap. He carefully positioned his men along the forest path, anticipating Robin Hood's arrival. The caravan, heavily laden with tax money, was deliberately made to appear vulnerable, an irresistible lure for the outlaw. As Robin Hood and his merry men approached the scene, they were cautious but determined. They suspected a trap but couldn't pass up the opportunity to liberate the stolen wealth and return it to the people of Nottingham. As they neared the ambush site, the sheriff's guards sprang their trap, surrounding Robin Hood and his band. Arrows flew, swords clashed, and a fierce battle ensued amid the ancient trees and dappled sunlight. It was a desperate struggle, but Robin Hood's band fought with valor, their loyalty to their leader unwavering. Despite being outnumbered and caught by surprise, they held their ground. Ultimately, however, the sheer force of the sheriff's numbers prevailed, and Robin's band was captured. Bound and shackled, they were taken to Nottingham Castle, where the sheriff reveled in his apparent victory. But Robin Hood, ever the strategist, had not been defeated. He had planned his capture with a purpose. While imprisoned, he used his charm, quick thinking, and feigned remorse to gain the sheriff's trust. He promised to reveal the location of the stolen tax money in exchange for a private audience with the sheriff. The sheriff, blinded by his greed and overconfidence, agreed to meet with Robin Hood, believing that he could finally recover the stolen wealth and put an end to the outlaw's escapades. In their secret meeting, deep within the shadowy depths of Sherwood Forest, Robin Hood spun a clever tale. He led the sheriff to believe that the treasure was hidden in a remote part of the forest, far from prying eyes. Eager to claim the riches, the sheriff followed Robin Hood into the heart of the forest, his guards left behind to safeguard the captured merry men. As they ventured deeper into the woods, the sheriff began to suspect that something was amiss. The forest, with its towering trees and whispering leaves, exuded an eerie tranquility. Robin Hood, sensing the sheriff's growing unease, finally revealed the truth. The treasure was hidden nowhere, and the entire journey had been a ruse to lead the sheriff away from his guards and into the heart of Sherwood Forest. Surrounded by the ancient, towering trees and with Robin Hood's merry men closing in like shadows, the sheriff had no choice but to concede defeat. He was captured, his once mighty authority reduced to nothing. Nottingham erupted in celebration as news of Robin Hood's victory spread. The forest of Sherwood remained a sanctuary for justice, and the legend of Robin Hood's daring exploits continued to inspire hope and resistance against injustice. The struggle for justice, freedom, and the rights of the common people persisted, an enduring testament to the indomitable spirit of Robin Hood and his band of merry men. In the face of tyranny, they had shown that courage, cleverness, and unwavering determination could triumph over the most oppressive rulers. Thank you for watching. Please comment below what you would like to see next.